So, online again. Hello to everybody. It's lunchtime here. So, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you find yourself watching this or when you watch the replay. How is it going? So, we had a question today, actually this morning, how to become emotionally stable. And he put it nicely. He kind of said that, in his words, he said our generation is kind of a bit soft, and compared to, the resilience of our father's generation and their father's generation, that we're weak. So I couldn't agree more with you, to be honest with you. So thanks for the comment. So it gave me some contemplation about, what it takes to be fortified emotionally, how to not be swept up and taken away by nature and life, whatever gets thrown at you. You're bound to come across some kind of speed bumps, is a good way to put it. So let's crack on. So actually, before I start, I've got to take on a few notes. So I've got a bit of feedback, and guys, if you've got any feedback for me, I'm a complete novice at this live stuff. So I need to show my face more, not just show the blackboard. So I'll do that more, and I just need to give more. Don't rush through it. There's no rush. So I don't like wasting your time, and I'm real cognizant of not wasting time, so that's why I rush through it. But I've been given the permission to just be more thorough and go through each point. I don't need a rush going through it all. So thank you very much. Now, before we get started, I highly recommend, is that in focus? There we go. This is a tiny book, right? It's you'd finish it within an hour or so. Seneca on the Shortness of Life. Look, if you don't like reading, this is a great entry into reading. Now, Seneca's a bit thorough and deep, but don't let that deter you, because there's some gems in there. And being emotionally stable is pretty much the groundworks from that are really Stoicism, and the Stoic philosophy are really big on being just unmoved and not getting too caught up with desire and feelings and emotion. People think they're emotionless, but I would beg to differ. I think they're very emotional, but they're just not carried away by the sensations of the human body, is how he puts it. So before you think that it's a good idea to become emotionally stable, it needs to be a priority, right? It needs to be a priority, and you need to know the benefits of what it is to be emotionally stable, right? So what I've written there was, when you're emotionally stable, your stress actually goes down, right? And your energy goes up. So whenever stress goes down, you're going to have more space, more free energy to go into other areas of whether it's your mind, your body, whatever it is. When you succumb to your emotions very easily, just any type of stress, right? And you kind of just can't handle it. You start freaking out, the voice goes crazy, you get the monkey mind, or you just, get hot and flustered and you're just not comfortable, right? That's taking down energy, right? There's too much stress. You're getting too caught up with the stories of, let's just say something, you got fired or something happened to you, right? You start making that even worse. So it might be a bad situation that's happened, but what you're doing is you're actually making it worse by, just stewing on it. And that's increasing stress and decreasing your vitality. So the benefit of becoming stable is that when stress goes down and energy goes up, that's fulfillment, that's content, that's satisfaction in life. So I talk about, we need to know why it's important to do things. If you want to be emotionally stable, the reason why you need to do it is because you're going to be more satisfied in life. You're going to enjoy life a lot better. It's logical. Think about it. If any kind of stressful situation was to happen to you, and your normal response is just to freak out and come up with, you know, all these crazy stories to kind of try and solve problems and whatever else, if you just kind of took a few deep breaths and just were stable and were strong and weren't too caught up with the whole situation, right? You kind of see the glass as being half full instead of half empty. There's a lot of spare space for you to actually resolve the issue or walk away, right? That's part of the Stoic philosophy as well, is you've got two choices in life. You focus on the things that you can control, right? And you don't focus on the things you can't control. Epictetus came up with that one. So if you can control the outcome, okay, put all your energy and try and fix it. But if you can't, walk away, cut ties. I know it's hard, but it's got to be done. Right, so being emotionally stable is a choice and a skill, okay? So you have to choose in the moment, when you're in the heat of the moment, your emotions have come up, you've been triggered, you either feel depressed or you feel angry, frustrated, stressed, whatever it is. In that moment, you need to make a decision and be like, okay, I can either be tangled up by these negative emotions or whatever your emotion you're going through. I can either be attached to it. I can either just, for the next 3-4 hours, just be really paralyzed by it, right? Or you can choose to be objective. Take yourself, detach the claws, get your claws out of the issue, right? And just look from above and just have a look down and just see what's really happening. Okay, you got fired. Okay, cool. It's not the greatest news, but maybe your boss needs someone better than you, and maybe there's a job that's better for you, right? It's all a different perception of what is actually happening. So that comes down to a choice of being emotionally stable. So the next time you feel like you're getting triggered or whatnot, make the choice to be stable, to be strong, to be, you know, a role model of strength for others and yourself. Now, sometimes, poor me that says, sometimes people, unfortunately, are attached to being emotional. And whether it's attention seeking or whether it's just a familiarity of those emotions of being sad or being upset or being whatever the emotion is. Some people, and oftentimes it's the next point, comes to childhood traumas. Some people are attached to these emotions because it's familiar, right? For whatever reason, there's unresolved issues inside, so that when these emotions come up later in life, and they always do if you don't resolve them, people get attached to them and it feels safe, it feels normal, it feels kind of like home, right? I know it sounds weird for some if you haven't gone through that, but it's a thing. I'm telling you, Alfred Adler, I've talked about in another video that, you know, your emotions are predetermined from your childhood environment. So, you know, if it was a very sad environment, if it was a very, you know, very violent kind of environment that you had, that turbulent inside that causes you is still going to be inside of you. So when you get triggered, when you get fired, or if you get triggered by your boyfriend, or if you get triggered by your girlfriend, the issue isn't really the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the boss. The issue is deeper than that, and you're just bringing emotions up that have been in there for a long time. So, childhood traumas, right? They have to be reconciled. Now, that's another video on its own because that's deep as hell. But, you know, that's obvious to say that if you had like a rough upbringing, it's going to be obvious to note out that there'll be some kind of turbulence left inside you. But there's more subtle ones as well. So, if your dad worked a lot, or if your mum was always away, or if you just didn't get as much nurturing as you wish you could have, or maybe consciously you didn't even notice, but subconsciously there just wasn't an ideal scenario where you got all the love and care that you needed, right? That causes insecurities, right? And those insecurities will cause you to be unstable emotionally, because how can you be stable when you're really not sure about yourself and who you are and what's happening inside of you? These feelings, you're uncertain, right? That's what insecurities are, and those insecurities are from childhood. So I'll just touch on it briefly, but really you have to go back. And if you do have any childhood stuff, go back. It's good to close your eyes and just kind of reflect and go back into time and just scan how your childhood was, right? Just kind of objectively look at, okay, was there any stress? Was there any turbulent emotions? Did I ever freeze and just be shocked at what I saw? Or did I get abused? Or did that there will be, if you're more often than not, if you're emotionally unstable, there's a good chance that there's some turbulent ride you went through when you were a child. So you just got to go back, and I know it's hard, but you have to forgive and forget. Now it's the old cliche saying, but really you have to understand that whoever was involved with whatever the scenario wasn't consciously wanting to hurt you on purpose, or wasn't wanting to make your life a misery. Okay? I know it's hard to understand that, but understand from their point of view that for them to do, a full-grown adult to go and do something abusive to a young girl or a young boy, or to abuse the wife, the mother of the young girl, whatever, that's for someone to maliciously act in a certain way, or even just verbally just be really aggressive. Imagine how much turmoil that person is feeling internally. Now, I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do if someone's being violent. I'm just saying that you need to understand, if that person's being violent to others, they're sure as hell being even more violent to themselves, and they hold it back, and then bang, the lid goes off and they're out of control because they've just got so much anger inside of them, or so much frustration, or so much fill in the blank, that then the environment around them cops it. Now, I won't go too much into that. I'm going to have to do another video for that, but just know, if you need to become more resilient, more stable with your emotions, you have to go back and just try and forgive and forget. I'll do another video for those interested. Now, the most important point, probably second to what I just talked about, is self-mastery, okay? And what I mean by that is just mastering every part of our being. So we've got the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit, and I've just put there no leaks. So what I mean by that is, the only thing you can really make sure that you can control, it's how you think, right? It's how you feed yourself. It's how you move yourself, right? It's how much downtime you allocate for yourself to really just recharge the batteries, right? And just connect and just get silent and just be aware of what's going on. Don't believe what's going on up here. Just be aware of what's happening up here, the thoughts and whatever's going on while you sit in silence. Eventually they part way, and then there's just complete silence. Do it enough and you get complete silence, right? And that's very regenerative, and you'll feel very stable coming out of that, because you're recharging those emotional batteries. Now, when you sit in silence, it's the soul that is mainly responsible for your emotions, right? So just like if you want to get fit and you want to go to the gym and get big muscles, or, you know, get lean, or whatever your goal is, if you want to be emotionally stable, you have to train the soul. You have to connect with your soul, right? We're living in the age of information now. You should know that there's more to us than the mind and the body. There's a soul, there's a spirit. It's not woo-woo anymore. It's now just common knowledge, right? If you want to be emotionally stable, train it. Set some time aside for it. And in the meantime, what happens there is you start to build a very good relationship with yourself. Okay, and that filters onto another subject, but we'll keep it to this one. Spirit. I like to think of the spirit as the soul in action. The soul's kind of motionless. It's like obviously deep, and it kind of likes no movement, no action, just silence. The spirit, on the other hand, likes a bit of expression. It likes to move. It likes to create. It likes to do things that it gets to show its flair. You know what I mean? training that is going to make you more fulfilled. It's going to bring you more passion. It's going to make you more happy, right? It's going to give you those endorphins to feel good about life. Wake up in the morning and be like, let's do it. You know what I mean? When you combine training your mind to be sharp, so read and be present with your thoughts. When you train your body to be energetic, lean, and so that when you look in the mirror, you're happy with what you see. When you train your soul to be quiet and to recharge and to connect. And then when you do activities like dancing or martial arts or, you know, playing music or listening to music or dancing to music or whatever your thing is to express your spirit, when you start doing these things on a daily, if not weekly basis, that's self-mastery. This is what the whole page is about. When you self-master yourself in every way, there's a true satisfaction with who you are. Not just what you see in the mirror, but who you are. How do you talk? How do you present yourself to the world? When you master yourself in every way, what I just said, okay, every part of your being, the 4 areas, mind, body, soul, spirit, when you master every one and you train it regularly, every day, every week, you're too content to not be swept up by what nature throws at you. You're just so happy and comfortable in your shoes. You're just loving life without any material flashy objects, so that if you lose your job, it's all good. You know, there's another job out there for me. You know, you've got some faith that you're not going to be left stranded. Or if you get broken up, if your boyfriend breaks up with you, if your girlfriend breaks up with you, they obviously need something else, right? And there's obviously someone else that needs you and that you need them, right? It's all good. Emotionally stable is it's a byproduct of just being very comfortable in your own shoes. It's a byproduct of just knowing wholeheartedly that you're okay by yourself, right? Solitude builds fortitude. Watch that video. It's all good. There's not much out there that can really do damage, right? There's always a lesson, or there's always a victory. Win or learn. John Kavanagh talks about it. There's never any, reason to be fully swept up under the table and depressed for weeks on end. That means you're just not paying attention and learning what you need to. There's a lesson in everything. So being emotionally stable requires your conscious decision to be, okay, this is what I want. I don't want to be, swept up by nature and by what life throws at me. I want to make life on my own terms. It's the old cliche thing, right? Make that choice. And once you make that choice, clear up any internal trauma that you've got, and then make it a life goal to master yourself, every part of you. Be proud of how you think, how you look, how you feel, right? What your purpose is, what direction you're going. Nothing's going to stop you from there. So, let's wrap it up there. Thank you if you've watched this whole thing. I appreciate your time. You're probably going to be watching the replay of this, which is cool. So if you've got any questions relating to this topic, just put them in the comments, or you can message me privately. And if you've got any topics of your own, I hope, my friend, I've kind of given you some inspiration with that perspective. And if you guys watching have anything that you'd want, me to go deep on, hit me up on the message or the comment section, and I'll check it out. So until next time, I'll catch you later.